our agenda for the day would be what is Cognos and business intelligence, then why to use Cognos, the Cognos architecture. We'll be looking at in brief about Cognos architecture, how then we develop applications in Cognos. Then we'll be seeing brief about various Cognos components. I'll be giving introduction regarding these components and how are they used. Then we'll be seeing brief about Cognos administration and security. We'll be seeing various capabilities of Cognos, what all functionalities we can implement in Cognos, and then why us. Okay, so starting with what is Cognos and business intelligence. So business intelligence is nothing but extracting useful information out of a pile of data which you have gathered. So in your data warehouse, in the big firms, the big enterprise, you'll have large chunk of data, but you don't know how to use that big pile of data. So to extract that useful one-liner information out of that pile of data, to extract reporting information out of that pile, that is what is business intelligence. So you play around with the data, you do a lot of things on the top of data, and then you connect your data warehouse to the your intelligence machine, which can be Cognos, MicroStrategy, or any intelligence platform, and then you extract that information out of it. So one-liner thing can be, what was the trend of your revenue, what was the trend of your profit for last 12 months or for last 3 years. This could be a very useful information for an enterprise, but to get that information out of the chunk of data, the operational data, that is what is business intelligence. Then Cognos is one tool which connects to your data warehouse or database and which creates its own intelligent queries, and using which you can extract that information. So it's a front-end tool which gives you that platform to do your business intelligence. So this was created long back in 1969. It's a Canadian company. It was started in Canada, and then later on, so because of its it being so famous, it being so largely used, it was then acquired in 2008, Jan 2008 by IBM. So then on it is called as IBM Cognos. So after that, there have been few versions which have come in market. They've added few tools, they've added few studios into it. So currently the latest version which we have is Cognos 10.1.1. So few of the biggest competitors of these tools in market are MicroStrategy, Business Objects. The one in SQL Server is SQL Server Reporting Services, and there are few more like Tableau and few more. Then moving on, why only Cognos? So as we can see, it is one of the most widely used business intelligence tool. In 2008, late back in 2008, it was acquired by IBM in $4 billion US dollars. So you would gauge what would be the revenue of that company. It serves more than 23,000 customers around the world, and it works in around 135 countries across the world. It's a highly flexible tool. It provides wide range of studios. So there are many components, many studios in this. It's a very widely used tool, and it can be useful to achieve a lot of information for your enterprise requirements. There is also less availability of skilled resource in this market. This market which keeps growing and still growing. The penetration is still less in this market. We see a lot of European companies, a lot of US companies using this business intelligence, but still not many of the Asian countries like in India. So the penetration is still very less across Asian countries. So I personally see a lot of scope in this, and there is also less availability of skilled resource in this, and that is why it provides tremendous future prospects to one who learns this and who works in this field. Then moving on, we'll start with what is Cognos. and then about the architecture of Cognos. So as you can see in your screen, there is Cognos Architecture. The top section of the screen, it shows you IBM Cognos Connection. So IBM Cognos Connection is a portal wherein you log in to access Cognos. There is a single portal from where you can access your Cognos Connection. So in this Cognos Connection, you can run your report, you can view your reports and folders, and you can manage your content. So in the right hand side, you'll see there are different studios. So the studio like Report Studio, Business Insights, Advanced, Query Studio, Analysis Studio. So there are multiple studios in this. You can access all your studios through this portal. So top section is your IBM Cognos Connection. The IBM Cognos Connection connects to the middle layer, which is the Framework Manager layer. The Framework Manager is the working heart, you can say, of Cognos. So Framework Manager is a platform wherein you would define your model, you'll create your model. Model is one thing wherein you'll have definition of different tables. You'll pull all the tables from your data warehouse, you'll keep that in your Framework Manager. You'll create your relationships between table. So when you pull something, when you pull few columns out of those tables onto your report, how should a query be created? That is all is defined in Framework Manager model. So that's a working heart of Cognos. And the last part is the relational database or the dimensional database to which one would connect. So let me brief you about what is relational and what is dimensional, the basic difference between these two models. Relational database is one in which you would not have hierarchical relationship between your tables. So something like a year, quarter, month and day. So this is a relational, this is a dimensional data in which you will have hierarchical relation. So starting with one country will have many states, one state will have many cities, and one city will have many addresses in it. So this is a dimensional data, and relation in which there is only one level of hierarchy. So you can connect to either of it, or you can convert relation into dimensional and you can connect it to Framework Manager, and then you can use in Cognos. So this is a brief architecture of Cognos. Then moving on, how do we develop applications in Cognos? So the first and the important part is to locate and prepare data source and model. So this is what we do in Framework Manager. We should be able to locate our data source and we should be able to model it accordingly. And then we should be able to build and publish that content into the Content Manager, into our Cognos connection. And then the last part is to deliver that information. Let's move on. So starting with Cognos Connection. So Cognos Connection is a platform, it's a portal, it's a starting point of your Cognos access. So you can do many things. You can access different portals as we talked about. So three main operations which you can do, which one can do in Cognos Connection is one can run a report, one can schedule a report for the latter run, and one can create his own portal pages in Cognos Connection. We can also access Cognos administration through it. We can define our own preferences. So all the things which should be available to users, we can define our own security through Cognos Connection. We can create our own DSNs here. So many things we can do in this. Moving on, the Report Studio. So Report Studio is the most widely used studio in Cognos. So basically the professional report authors and developers would be the one who would be using this studio. So in this, wherein the report developers have to take care of minute details of user requirements. So almost everything which can be required in the business intelligence world can be achieved in this Report Studio. So, but it needs developers, the people like us, to work on this. The managers or business analysts cannot go and directly create their own reports in Report Studio. So there is one which exists for developers. It's intended for wide audience. Almost all the people for whom one would create report can use reports built in Report Studio. So it also requires some amount of maintenance for the changing requirement. And the places where you need a detailed control over the appearance, therein we would go and use Report Studio. The next is the Business Insight. This was lately added in Cognos 10.1.1. Before this, in Cognos 8.3 and 8.4, it did not used to exist. So Business Insights, it allows one to build sophisticated reports. So out of already created list, cross steps and charts, so one can go ahead and pull his own list, cross steps and chart, existing list, cross steps and chart, and can build his own dashboard in this studio. So let me give you a brief about dashboard. What is dashboarding? So dashboarding is nothing but a place in which you would combine multiple analysis into a single place and you would show it onto the screen. For example, you would show your profit increase, you would also show your revenue, you would show revenue at say year level and also at regional level, sliced at different areas. You would also want to show your financial data as well, you would want to show your human resource data along with it. So all those analysis combined onto a single portal and shown on a single page is nothing but a dashboard. So in Business Insights, one can easily create his own dashboard out of existing objects. In this, the widgets are nothing but two lists can be widget. A list and a chart is a widget. So two objects can interact with each other in this, and you can perform basic analysis, data exploration, and collaborative decision making. So collaborative decision making is, say I see a revenue which falls below 10%. So I go and comment on it that revenue has fallen below 10%. The other user who logs in another day, he would be able to see my comment, and then he would come to know that such and such thing has happened. He would be able to add his own comments. So that is what is collaborative decision making. This is what we can do through Business Insights. Then moving on, Business Insight Advanced. This is the advanced version of Business Insight. So already existing objects, you can further add your analysis into those objects. So for example, your report only existed at the time and geography level. So you want to add one more area of analysis to it, one more dimension to it. So if it existed at year level and you want to make it at the quarter level as well, so you can open that analysis into the advanced and you can do different things on top of that. So that is for those specific purpose, Business Insight Advanced would be used. Then the Query Studio. It is for the casual and novice users. You can very quickly create report in this which answers simple business questions, and one can directly interact with his own data in this Query Studio. But the important thing is it works only on the relational data but not the hierarchical or the dimensional data. Then the Event Studio. So Event Studio, as the name suggests, so when an event occur, you want to do something. So if the objects which you were trying to dispatch to the users have not been dispatched, then you want to send an alert mail to the manager that such and such thing has happened. So those kind of events you can easily trace in Event Studio, and once you trace those events, you would want to perform some action like sending the report why it has failed, things like that. So those kind of things you can do. So how to use that? You first need to define an event condition. So on what event you want to do an action, and then when one detects that event, what is the task you want to do? So task can be sending mail or running a report or scheduling a report. Mm, Moving on, the analysis studio. So as the name suggests, it is used for quick analysis. It is used by managers and analysts. It works on the hierarchical data. One can easily drill down to the lower levels of details in Analysis Studio. It can easily perform analysis to get what and why behind an event, and what can be done to improve business performance. One can easily see. We can also analyze different trends and anomalies. Anomalies are nothing but the variance from the actuals. So falling of profit below 50%, this is an anomaly because it is the variance to what actually happens usually. So this is an anomaly. One can easily trace anomalies in this. And so one point to highlight in Analysis Studio is it works on large volume of data. So one can create his own cubes in this. So cubes, let me tell you something about cubes first. Cubes are nothing but combinations of data existing at different level, and to store that data in the intelligence server memory. So what usually happens is any kind of analysis, a query is generated and a query gets fired onto the data warehouse, and that data is extracted from the data warehouse. But in cube-based reporting, what we do is we keep that combination of analysis into a MDC file, and that files, whenever a user queries something, that data is directly pulled out of file, out of the intelligence server memory, and that is why the performance is very quick. So in Analysis Studio, we would connect to cubes and we would pull information. So that is why the analysis at different levels is very quick. The data extraction is within seconds. So that is one specific purpose wherein one has to use Analysis Studio here. Then the few more features in this, one can connect to Microsoft Office. So it gives you, the Cognos gives one a plugin to connect to Microsoft PowerPoint's example. So a manager can connect to Microsoft PowerPoint and can pull report, a list, crosstab or a chart onto the presentation and can present to his audience. So this kind of advanced features which it provides. Then the transformer. So we talked about the cube-based reporting. A transformer is a platform which provides ability to create cubes. So in this platform, one can pull different dimensions, one can pull different measures and fact, and can create his own cube. The cube is then stored into the intelligence server memory as a .mdc file, and then that cube can be accessed via Cognos connections using these different studio reports and can extract information easily and very quickly. So this is particularly would be useful in OLAP kind of reporting, wherein you would want to do analysis across the globe. Then we'll move on and see highlights of Cognos administration. So what one can do in Cognos and administration. So in this we can define our connections to the organization data sources. So how do we want to connect it? Is it ODBC? What kind of DSN we want to use? All these kind of things we can do using administration. We can define our own security permissions for different users, groups and roles. We can specify the distribution list, the contacts and the printers which we want to use. We can manage our dispatcher. Dispatcher is nothing but a component of Cognos which sends requests to Cognos content manager to fetch the data. So every kind of request, every analysis being requested by a user, it goes through Cognos dispatcher. The dispatcher sends requests to different places and then fetches that data and then pulls it on the report. So we can manage those dispatchers in this administration. We can also customize the appearance of the front end of Cognos. How should that Cognos appear to the user? All those things we can do in our Cognos administration. Then the security is we can create different users in Cognos. We can also connect to the local system to create the users. We can create our own groups in this. We can create different roles, security roles in Cognos, and we can assign security. So every object which appears in the Cognos connection, we can give a read, edit, or a run access to that object in Cognos. The next part which we can do in administration is we can do scheduling. So generally scheduling is done wherein the report requires huge amount of time to come back. It has a lot of data. So it might take an hour, half an hour, or 15 minutes of loading time for report to run. In such kind of scenarios, what we would want to do is schedule the report beforehand, so that when user comes online the next day, he gets a report in his mail, so that he is directly able to access that report. In those kind of scenario, we would do scheduling. So we can do this using administration. Also scheduling, one thing to keep in mind is things are scheduled generally during the night times, not the day times. So for a user base, if 80% to 90% of user base is, say for example in US, you would want to schedule things at their night time, so that the load is distributed across environments, and the scheduling functionality, the scheduling run things happen during the night time, and that is available to users in their daytimes. So one thing is creating jobs. Jobs is nothing but a combination of multiple things. So for example, you want to run 10 reports at a time at say 10 o'clock in the night, and it takes 1 hour of time to execute and then mail to the users and mailbox. So in such scenarios, you would not go and schedule 10 different reports, but you would create a job of those 10 reports and you would schedule those reports. So that is what is job, combining those 10 reports into a single and then scheduling that job. Then moving on, I would just highlight different capabilities of Cognos, what Cognos can do. This is very brief. So first we can create our own list, cross tabs and charts. So what I have been talking about. We can do advanced formatting and representation of these reports. We can combine these all objects into different places. We can give our own headings. We can even, we have around 12 to 15 types of charts or maybe more available in Cognos. We can format the minute details of list, crosstab and chart. We can format the minute sections available in it. The one thing which we can do is do multilingual data reporting. So multilingual data reporting is something like a French user wants to see report only in French language, and a Spanish user wants to see report in Spanish language only. So this kind of capability is available in Cognos. But the important thing is this data should be available in your database. The multilingual data should be existing in your database, and then the Cognos has the capability to handle this kind of reporting. We can also apply data security in Cognos. So something like a person existing or a person residing or a sales representative of Colombo should be able to see data in Colombo only, and his regional head should be able to see data for all the territories existing in under his preview. So that kind of data security can be applied. Object security can also be applied. One object should be available to one reporter but should not be available to other. That kind of functionality is there. One can do a conditional formatting. So profit below 20%, profit a fall in 20%, which should be highlighted in red. This kind of reporting can be done. We can assign different drilling features in it. So a report at year level, and when a user clicks on a particular year, say example 2011, he should be able to drill down to the quarter level of that year. So all the quarters in 2011 should appear in the next report. That kind of a drilling feature can be assigned, and more advanced drilling features can be assigned in this. We can create our own prompted reports. So user will have the option to select 10 territories out of 50 different existing territories. He can select either of territories and data would appear only for those territories. This kind of prompted capability is available in Cognos, and there are many more features in this. So last thing I want to talk about is bias. So in this industry we have one of the most competitive and streamlined training course. So the faculties which is available with us, they have a huge industry experience and they are aware of the latest happenings and trends in this. So we teach with relevant examples. The training material is streamlined. The last thing is we also do project assignments to the training at the end of the course, and our training is mostly filled with live example, the industry use examples, and we take different examples during our training. So that was it on Cognos introduction. So any questions on this are most welcome.